The impact on the Western Isles for the empty homes has been quite extreme. I've got 150 properties being restored or getting ready to be restored in the next year or two. That's going to play a dramatic impact on the infrastructure as well as the communities in a wider whole.
The phrase which everybody says is, "I just can't wait to see a light back on in that house." So many people have never seen a light on in this house, and it was before kind of their time. People are really excited and commenting on the changes which they're seeing day to day.
There are a lot of these sorts of empty properties around, and while they've got a lot of history attached to them, we don't just want them to be there as a reminder of the past. We want them to be brought back to life and also have a reminder of the past attached to them. It's really important that new life is brought to the area. Karis especially is very interested in maintaining the history and knowing the stories that go along with the houses.
It was built in 1914, and it's a traditional Croft house, a 2 up, 2 down style, completely stone built. The house was built before any of the roads were put into the village and around the district. So all the stone was taken by boat, and the house was built by the family themselves. It was a private build. The village shop was attached to one of the gable ends of the house, and they used to sell the goods to the village every day. It was the first house in the district of South Lochs, or the first croft, to have a vehicle. So they had a lorry here because of the shop, and that came before the roads got put in, so it was actually taken again by sea and taken onto the croft there. The family left the house in the 50s, and it was continued to be used as a kind of secondary holiday home or somewhere for them to visit up until about the 70s, which is why it's still in pretty good condition now, and it's still in a position where it's able to be restored. But yeah, the family did leave after the Second World War in the 50s.
These sort of empty homes, the derelict houses, have become quite an art form, but that's not really what we want. We want new affordable housing for people to live in our area. So it's great to see the house coming back to life and getting the lights back on in it.
So we started with the groundworks for the new build extension out the back. So they scraped out the site for that, and Brickie came in and laid the foundation block work for where the kit will go. And then the joiners came in and stripped the entirety of the old roof off. It looked really weird at that point, that, you know, the house without any roof on it, and looking from a distance from the other side of the village, everybody was commenting on how strange it looked at that point. They made trusses on site for the old house, and they've erected those, and they've been working on putting the sarking up and making the old kind of storm windows, the dormer windows. So they reckon they'll be getting going with the slating probably next week, and that's kind of where we're at just now. I'm just about at the point where I need to order in the lime and the render for the old building as well, so just doing the kind of final tweaks for that to get it ordered in from the mainland and make sure it gets here in time for the Brickie starting on the lime works. We had a bit of an oversight. Nobody had actually factored in what was going to happen with the inside of the old house. So when the diggers are excavating, you know, for the extension, that's fine because you've got the machine in there. But nobody had actually taken into account the fact that you can't get a digger in the old house, and there's loads of stones which needed taken out of there so that a modern floor with insulation and whatnot could be put in. It wasn't any kind of setback time-wise, but it just increased the costs a wee bit and meant a wee bit of backing and forthing on how that was actually going to come together. But it all works out in the end. It's bound to happen in a project of this scale that things are going to crop up, so I'm sure it won't be the last of them. I wanted to keep it in keeping and using the right building materials, and a lot of the guys here weren't as used to using those types of things to keep it breathable and things. So it's been a learning curve from both sides, and there's been a lot of input from myself because it's a non-standard build. A lot of me backing and forthing with the architect and the joiners and things to make sure that the technical specification was correct. So it's been very hands-on, which I probably didn't expect it was going to be as hands-on from me. It's amazing to see it in the shape it is just now. I've stood with the way I wanted it to be, and it's worked out in the end, so it's been pretty amazing that way. So there's been a lot of work to get to this stage, and it's almost at kind of livable state, and hopefully be moving in a few months' time.
Restoring empty properties in the Western Isles has a massive impact on the economy through the building industry, employment, future apprentices. Obviously, with properties and villages being restored, it's obviously helping the economy. Local businesses are obviously helping through the local discounts that are being offered. We've been able to provide Karis and David with 20% discount where they'll get through under the DIY renovation scheme through HMRC, and up to 25% discount through local companies, and obviously advice around the building, etc., or the survey. That plays a big impact on schools, churches, utilities, shops, etc., and obviously with the local well-being of every village and the community as a whole.
Family and friends have been following the journey, updates of photographs and things, and love to see it coming together. But I think more so just people in the village. Everyone's kind of rooting for us to get it finished and to have a light back on in this house again, as it's been so long since that's been the case. So there's been a lot of support within the community as well, which has been great. It is difficult to bring an old house like this back into use, but I would absolutely recommend it. Even though it's been a challenging journey, it is really rewarding to see it all coming together. If you have a vision and you're passionate about seeing it brought back in the right way, then see it through and go for it, because it's really rewarding to see these old buildings brought back into use.
It's a true example of what can be achieved if you have a dream, and Karis and David have managed to fulfill their dream and create a home. Anything can be achieved. Any empty home can be brought into a home.